and policies and virtually everything that you need to do know in order to be successful in the lab is available in a little slideshow. It's clickable, accessible through the website, either from home or in the class. We even have some of the experiments that are simulation-wise that are now available for the computer.
I'll ask you the question I asked Terry, because you've been at this, in some cases, about 12 years with the Internet. Have you noticed from these techniques that it enhances the learning process, or retention in particular? Are you finding your students are performing at a higher level than they were before you used this kind of technology?
It is, and actually, as far as retention goes, I can look at that in two ways: retaining of information and also retaining the students. One of the nice things about having the Internet available the course available in Internet version is that I have linked the Internet class very closely to the on-campus class in a time sequence. So if a student in the Internet class realizes that, well, the Internet is really not for me, they can immediately and laterally shift into an on-campus version of it. Or if a student has a life situation that precludes them from continuing the on-campus section, they can immediately shift laterally into the Internet section with no loss of any materials or content or time. Everything is a smooth transition. So from that aspect, retaining students in class has been remarkably good. In fact, the Internet section of Anatomy and Physiology is the first of the 4 sections of A&P to fill every semester. Usually within one day it's full. And as far as retention of the materials, as we've all been talking about, the different learning styles that people have, they have a menu of different ways to access the information to choose from. And that menu of methods, either writing down the notes themselves or seeing the notes presented to them already or looking at the materials online, has greatly facilitated retention. The materials, I'm sure everyone knows about iPods and MP3 players and those types of devices. The software that downloads the podcast from the A&P website puts the material right onto their iPods or their MP3 player, so they can, on the go, listen and watch the lecture materials.
You people are just bringing so many more ideas to me, and that's why it's a good guest on the show. But when you said someone maybe starts the Internet, they don't feel comfortable moving into the regular class, the more traditional class, but yet they still have access to that to supplement the class. They can still go to this information, and maybe by having the class, and they feel more comfortable than others. It's all available to them.
It is. Everything is available to all sections of Anatomy and Physiology, both on campus and Internet versions.
I have one more question for you before I go back to the other guest. I know we have some educators watching, and they're nervous, and they haven't done this. And so would you have some encouraging comments to them? I'll start with Peter, and Steve, you certainly would be involved in that. There are people available to help you, aren't there? You didn't just start and do this without any assistance?
Well, actually, I've been lucky in that I have been working with computers for a long time, and so I actually didn't really have a lot of assistance getting any of these things done. So I've been pretty much the pioneer in the biology department with these things. However, the Biology 100 Internet instructor has the black thumbs of death with a computer. She cannot do anything right with a computer. If it can go wrong, it will go wrong with her. I now have her podcasting, both in audio and in video form.
So you've been her mentor?
You bet.
And then Steve and his staff are available for people, too?
Always.
So almost as institutions, as technology grows, there are people there to help.
Yes, indeed.
In that process. Kathy, also between the shows, we had a conversation, and you have a wonderful story of another reason why technology is important, about a student who got a job and was able to complete it would not have otherwise. Would you share that as an example? Maybe you have another example, too.
And there are so many. Terry and I were sharing, we were all sharing stories, but I've been teaching online for quite some time now, and one of the situations that really, I think, addresses how beneficial using technology is, I had a student who was in my online Excel class, and she had a great opportunity to take a job in upstate New York. And in another day and time, she would have had to lose those credits because it was about halfway through the semester, and she wasn't going to be able to complete the class as locally. But she was able to go to upstate New York, and she was actually living in a campground with wireless internet access, and we communicated quite often, and she was able to complete that class and not lose any credits at any time, and she was absolutely thrilled to be able to do it. And there are many instances of that type with students in online classes. And just as Peter said, sometimes a student is in an on-campus class and just life situations come at them. They can oftentimes move into an online class if you keep the timing fairly close, and I do that as well with my Excel students.
In the division of social science, social and behavioral sciences, we have also faculty teaching from Utah, California, one in Seattle, so you can expand your faculty. If you have a subject matter, maybe you don't have someone on the faculty that's concentrating in that field, you can find someone from else. Although there's some challenges to communicating with faculty at distance, like getting their grades in and those kind of things. But that is a factor. Steve, I'm going to come back to you, and I do want to help people to have less tension. Our wonderful friend Peter talked about, and he did. He's a pioneer and he did much on his own, but they're not all Peters, So would you share with our viewers the kind of help that can be given to someone who's starting out and is excited about doing that?
Absolutely. One of the challenges of working in IT and education is trying to manage that all of the processes. You generally have a few percent at the innovation level, which are the people that are in this room. You have some people that just really like to teach four walls and a blackboard kind of stuff. And then you have the majority that are in between. And one of the things that we try to do is provide infrastructure and basically get out of the way of the people like Peter and Kathy and Terry, but watch and learn as they innovate and they do things differently and try to apply that in a very systematic way to the 80% or more that
you can take their ideas and give
exactly and try to turn it into Henry Ford, get it on the assembly line and get that to the masses, so to speak. And by doing that, we are able to try to facilitate that great work that everybody does at a much broader scale. And then what you find is that there are now, where a few years ago it was probably Peter and a couple people, now there are more and more innovators, and there are less and less of the people on the other end that just don't want anything to do with technology. It is just becoming more and more pervasive.
But institutions, at least this one's been very flexible in saying, letting different faculty find different methods. For myself, in addition to the classroom, the normal classroom, I have for 12 years done the distance learning. But I've chosen not to do the internet because of my need to have that personal visual. But now that's even changing to where Terry thought we could even do that because they could see one another as we go down the road. Terry, do you at any time make contacts with other colleagues you have, and does that in any way, that technology from other campuses come back to help you?
Well, I think as in what you're trying to do here with kind of a roundtable discussion, I think anytime you're around teachers, we're always picking and choosing from each other and trying to glean ideas and whatnot. But I want to kind of backtrack just a second, because one of the things that allows those of us to innovate is that we know that we have people like Steve around who can help the students know how to log on and do certain things. And the other thing I think that's important, at least, and I'm somewhat familiar with Peter's work as well, it's not like you jump from being on one side of the spectrum to the other. I think most of us add a little bit here and add a little bit there. And so I think your question about how do you get started with these kind of things, you just try a little bit and you talk to people like Steve and make sure that kind of plugs in, and you just add a little bit more each, as you become more comfortable with it. Because I think one of the disadvantages of any new teaching innovation, whether it's technology or whether it's some sort of strategy, is people trying to buy into it without really fitting it into how they teach in their class and their clientele. And again, I see with the help of the support services has allowed us to kind of develop this as it fits our classes best. And I think that's been really nice.
There are different teaching styles and different personalities, and so you have to bring your own techniques in. Even the technology can't dictate or can't change you as relation to your style. Peter, you really have been a pioneer, and over in, and I want to say this, we have great departments, but the natural sciences is remarkable. Our pre-med program has been extremely strong. Our nursing program, they've ranked at the top in the state on scores. So what else can you say from your department or division that has, the quality's already there but has enhanced this?
Well, I see in our division increasing numbers of classes coming online, if not fully online with internet-based courses, with the materials that are developed in the classroom and are put on the internet for the benefit of the students. The chemistry people, for example, in the non-majors chemistry class, they have put together a full internet chemistry course, lecture and including lab. They've developed, through a grant, a kitchen chemistry set that they distribute to the students. And now chemistry students all over the North Idaho and elsewhere can take a non-majors chemistry and never have to come to campus. It's one of the first steps in getting truly a potential for a degree in the outreach area.
I know that they've got like a 3-year grant, something I've talked to them about. They've been very proud, and they should be, of the grants they've received. On that note, the moment I have to bring the program to conclusion, I do want to close with showing how this program's changed 36 years ago. When we came on the air 36 years ago, we had one black and white camera, and for our credits at the end, we had a drum. And it had velvet on it, black velvet with white lettering, and one student had to roll the drum as we went off the air. And one student, he didn't get to do anything all semester because he's the only one who could roll at the right speed. And he'd say to me, "Can I do something else?" And I said, "The director says you're the only one that has the right speed." And so that's where we started, and here's where we are 36 years later. And this revolution in TV, too, and what we can do. And I think that during this process that we, too, have experienced great change. I think all 4 of you, you've been wonderful to be here 2 weeks, and my, how informative. And I know this will be very valuable to our viewers who are being introduced to this kind of process, and it really is changing education. And Steve, I know that you're right, that we've got other roads to go down. We don't even know where it's headed all yet. Again, thank you all for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, I've really enjoyed bringing to you with our guests 2 weeks on the use of modern technology to revolutionize college teaching. And I hope you'll be with us again next week at the same time, when we'll move to another issue. Until then, please have a good week. I am Tony Stewart.
Recorded on the campus of North Idaho College, Public Forum is the longest-running in-house college production on PBS. Each episode is pre-recorded live and is an educational outreach from North Idaho College. Please join us at this same time next week for another edition of Public Forum on this public television station.